Damn, the Raiders have been hit with a devastating blow, a season-ending injury right before their upcoming game against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. We're going to break down this update and some of the other latest Raiders news. Before we get into this downer news that we're about to talk about, let's talk about some more lighthearted things, which is the fact that quarterback Gardner Minshew has been in the news not just for the interceptions that he had this past week against the Denver Broncos, but apparently Minshew Mania was digging for gold on the sideline after he was benched against the Broncos, and you can see it there. I can't even, honestly, I get a little disgusted. I'm kind of a germaphobe sometimes to even see this, but Minshew, hopefully he was just, munching on his mustache hairs. Hopefully that's all it was, and it wasn't anything too crazy. But nonetheless, Minshew is getting in the news for all the wrong reasons. The quarterback position is still in the news for the Raiders. You would think that they would have figured out who the starter is before October, but it seems like we still have a quarterback competition. Yes, it's been officially announced that Aiden O'Connell will compete for the Raiders QB job this week in practice. And it's actually kind of crazy because they only practice a little bit. Now, this comes after O'Connell filled in for Minshew towards the end of the third quarter. There's about a minute and a half left in the third quarter against the Broncos. Minshew had thrown 2 picks, and the Raiders were only down 10 points. So I thought it was really crazy to see them throw O'Connell in. Last time they threw O'Connell in is when they were getting blown out by the Panthers, and seemed like it was mainly just because the game is over. And then Antonio Pierce, remember, was asked about the quarterback competition after the game. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to give anything up. And even this week, he was asked about it, and he told reporters that he's still evaluating who will be the team's starting quarterback. This is on October 7th. This is literally on Monday morning. He still is not sure who the starting quarterback is going to be for the Raiders this week at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for now, according to Adam Schefter, the team is treating it like a competition before deciding who starts versus the Steelers. And so it is embarrassing that after 5 games, we still don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. They had the competition in the preseason. They played starters a lot during preseason to figure this out, and we still haven't had it figured out yet. And that's mainly because Gardner Minshew has struggled. Look, personally, my personal opinion, I don't think Aiden O'Connell is going to make this offense that much better. Some people do believe that. I hope that's the case. Part of the argument that O'Connell will make the offense better is because he may get rid of the football quicker than Minshew, because Minshew tends to hold on to it, take some sacks, and sometimes has some errant throws. But in my opinion, Minshew will hold on to the football and sometimes make some serious plays. And I think you saw him do that towards the beginning of the game against the Denver Broncos. Part of the reason why I think the Raiders have had some success on offense is Minshew's ability to escape and scramble for 10 yards here and there and make an improvised throw. Aiden O'Connell, I don't believe is going to let you do that. But the Raiders could have a new starting quarterback this week against the Steelers. And I think for Antonio Pierce, to avoid some of the blowout losses, some of the uncompetitive losses, he's going to be willing to do anything to make this team bridge the gap a little bit more against these opponents that they should beat, like the Panthers and the Broncos. There's another quarterback competition this Sunday, and it's involving the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields has been the starter for the Steelers since Russell Wilson has been dealing with a calf injury, the same calf injury that he has had since training camp. But now that Russell Wilson is becoming healthy, it looks like it is possible that he could get his debut start against the Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Fields suffered an L against the Dallas Cowboys this past week, and that was probably his worst game of the year. Also against the Indianapolis Colts the week prior, he did not do too well. But before then, I felt like Justin Fields had been really efficient. And what I find interesting here is that the Raiders have their own quarterback troubles. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, have a better quarterback situation, but still a competition nonetheless. But both of these guys, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, are 2 guys that the Raiders could have signed. The Raiders could have made a trade and offered more than a 4th-round pick for Justin Fields. The Raiders could have signed Russell Wilson, and he's only about $1 million against the cap. And apparently Russell Wilson was interested in the Raiders, but the Raiders never made him an offer. So if the Raiders quarterback does not do well in this game and you see the Pittsburgh Steelers ball out with whatever quarterback they choose to play with, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, in my opinion, either one of these guys is an upgrade over what the Raiders got right now. That's going to make the team look bad. Hopefully, they could shut down the noise outplay Justin Fields or Russell Wilson in this upcoming game at home. But hey, I do find it interesting that for both teams, neither side knows which quarterback is going to start. Both of them are question marks. It could be anybody for the Steelers or the Raiders in this upcoming game. We still have Antonio Pierce, Davante Adams drama. People are trying to figure out what exactly happened. So remember, Davante Adams was asked on the Kay Adams show, have you spoken to Antonio Pierce since he liked that post on Instagram that suggested that Davante Adams had played his last down as a Raider? And Davante Adams said, no, I have not spoken to him. But what we do know is that Davante Adams, from what it seems like here, and we're going to play this clip, is that he suggested a trade before Antonio Pierce liked that post.
Okay, so on Monday, they think everything's fine. On Monday, he reaches out to Antonio Pierce, says, I want to come up and meet with you. He thought it was about his hamstring. Comes up there and says, I want out. I'm done. I want to finish my career like this. He completely blindsided them.
So look, in my opinion, Antonio Pierce still messed up. Davante Adams comes up to you, tells you he wants out, tells you he wants a trade, and then you get too emotional and upset about that you like a post on Instagram about him playing his last game as a Raider after Davante Adams went to you privately and requested a trade. That still ruins your leverage in terms of trade value. It would be better if that detail would not have gotten out so people would not think that a bridge is burned, and it burns a bridge with Davante Adams. How cooperative is he going to be in this process as the Raiders try to trade him away? I still think it was a bad look, bad move by Antonio Pierce, regardless of the fact that it was Davante Adams who requested a trade prior to Pierce liking that post. And in my opinion, we got more bad news as a Raiders fan who is not a fan of Tom Brady. I really don't like the idea of Tom Brady running this team. I miss the John Gruden days so much, but here we go. Brady appears to be moving in to take over. Owners have repeatedly tabled the Tom Brady ownership pursuit because of his Fox broadcasting, but the recently retired QB has raised his stake price, moving him closer to the ownership rank. So it looks like Brady is going to be spending even more money and buying an even larger piece of the Raiders than we initially realized. Hopefully this does not go through. I am a big time Tom Brady hater. I would rather anybody in the world own this team than Brady. The Raiders are still without star tight end Michael Mayer. This guy was a second round pick out of Notre Dame in the 2023 draft. And now it seems like he's still unavailable. He missed last week. He was still supposed to be a key component for the Raiders this year, running that 12 personnel with two tight ends, Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. And now the Raiders can't do that, but it seems like it's a personal matter. Michael Mayer is away due to a personal matter, and you've seen that on the injury report. It just says personal. That is why he's not at practice. That is why he's not available for the games. Now, Antonio Pierce, the head coach, has maintained privacy and has not really told anybody what's going on, which he should not. He said, hey, it's a personal matter. They're handling it in-house, and we don't know. I mean, it's occurred in his life before and popped up again. That's what a Raider Nation radio host, your boy Q, said. So maybe this could be, we could speculate about all kinds of things that it could be. Some people suggest mental health. Some people suggest other battles. I'm not going to imply or make any bold accusations, but nonetheless, this is a big deal because the Raiders spent a second round pick on this guy in 2023, and he's not available right now, on top of some of the other problems that they're dealing with. Hopefully Michael Mayer is able to resolve whatever is going on in his personal life and move forward. Now for some of the downer news that has happened with the Raiders, and this is absolutely insane. I was shocked to see this. Christian Wilkins, the big free agent signing for the Raiders this past offseason, the guy that they spent all the money on, the biggest splash move in free agency, is going to be placed on injured reserve and is out indefinitely. So Christian Wilkins was injured in this past game after getting a sack against the Denver Broncos. A lot of people thought maybe he got injured while celebrating. We don't exactly know. Nonetheless, whatever happened is going to require surgery. You had Ian Rappaport saying that he's undergoing surgery to repair a bones fracture he suffered on Sunday. And he was a big money free agent acquisition. This is a crushing blow in the middle of the season. Christian Wilkins was doing great. And the way you could tell that he was doing so great, he wasn't getting tons of sacks all year, but you saw the Raiders' run defense really take a big step backwards once Christian Wilkins was out of the game against the Denver Broncos. And I think that showed you how valuable he is. I do like some of the depth that the Raiders have at defensive tackle, though. I think people should not sleep on Adam Butler as a pass rusher. We just got to hope that somebody steps up for the Raiders in terms of run defense. But this is horrible, man. Not only is Max Crosby not at 100%, he's been nursing that ankle sprain, but you're moving on from Devontae Adams. He has requested a trade, and now this has happened. You do not have Christian Wilkins, the guy you paid the most money for probably the entire season. I mean, if you're undergoing surgery, yeah, there's a chance he could come back, but a bone fracture that you have to do a surgical repair, it's going to be very hard to come back from that. Maybe the final game of the year, if that. Let me know your thoughts. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.